to TBI Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Yep. So, and yeah, I'm sorry people have asked what TBI is, so I guess I should explain. So, TBI stands for traumatic brain injury.
Oh, hey, Heather. How are you?
So, and yep, there we go. So, thankfully, yeah, Heather's one of the ones that told me you need to explain. I thought it was, everybody knew it, but I guess that's just because that's all I've been thinking about for the past 5 years-ish. But yes, it's traumatic brain injury, which I don't have a statistic. I probably should. What do you call it?
As to how many happen a year?
Yep, thank you, my brain right here. Yes, but I wish I had statistics for how many people that it's happened to and all that. So
it's fairly common, though, right?
Pretty much. It just depends on the severity.
I was going to say, but there's a different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Degrees,
yes. That is a good point. Because, yeah, I remember, what do you call it, when one of the doctors up here I say up here, okay, sorry, let me explain. So, I live in Peachtree City now, where I met my wife, and how should I say, started. So, when I had a bicycle accident about 5.5 years ago, and when I woke up from my coma, and I kind of learned what happened, I had no idea. I mean, I'm like, my life is over. Like, I can't talk, I can't walk, I can't type. I'm like, I was a software engineer. I had just become, so I was just starting my career, and I had moved to San Francisco. I mean, all this stuff, and then just done. I'm like, what do I do?
Scary.
Yeah, I mean, terrified. I'm like, how is this going to work? I mean, what? And definitely at the time I was, it's funny, I just broke up with a girlfriend the day before my accident. So, it basically, I was just like, what do I do now? And
let me interrupt. I'm just curious, and this is not said out of like weirdness or anything like that. Do you think if you had still stayed with her, you think she would have stuck around?
Well, she's
I mean, yeah, I've met her. Super nice. I like her. I think she's a very nice person. I just wonder, because, I mean, it's such a hard thing to...
You keep cutting out. I don't know why. Keep going.
Oh, I just wonder if you've ever even... I mean, she wouldn't know at this point. There's no way of telling.
Yeah.
With everything, but just...
So, yeah, that is a good question. And I've kind of often thought about it or heard about it from other people. It's like, do people usually stay with those who are injured? And, some do and some don't. And I mean, it wasn't like it was a long relationship. We'd been together like 2 months.
That's long in the lesbian world.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way. No, but I mean, I know I wouldn't want to tie her down. Because,
right. No, I can see that from your point. But then from her point, too, is, gosh, what does it say about me to cut and run?
Correct, yeah. That is true. And, yeah, that is a whole, I don't know what you call it, like a whole situation or thing to discuss.
Right. Your friend, not your friend, but the guy that was at the hospital, Mikey, that came in about the same time.
Yeah.
He was in college or high school?
He was in college.
Did he have a girlfriend or anything that you know of?
So that is something I do not know.
I mean, understandably, they couldn't have any kind of relationship now because of his vegetative state. But
Yeah. So, yeah, and that is the interesting thing. We could talk about different degrees of the injury, yes.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys on TikTok that they were young, I think in college. Anyway, moved down to Florida, had just a secondhand car, just wanted to get out on their own. They were best friends in school,
Yeah.
and they were going somewhere, and there was an accident, and one guy was severely injured, and he now has a TBI.
Yeah.
Hey, Holly,
Oh, hey there.
Cameron's watching too.
Hey, Cameron.
Hey, Cameron, we love you. But anyway, the young man that was injured, I don't think he's to the point he can even walk right now. He can talk, but he's very difficult to understand. And the friend will talk from time to time about the guilt he feels because he was the one driving, and he sustained no injuries whatsoever.
Yeah.
Or if any, they were minor. And he is now continuing. He's gone back to school. He's in college now, but he comes back on a regular basis and visits with his friend and gets him out. And
Keep talking.
and the family apparently, I guess because of the dedication that the friend has had toward their son,
Yeah.
they have no ill feelings towards him. I mean, it was an accident. It wasn't like he was fooling around or speeding or anything like that. It was a genuine accident. But he stayed around, and it doesn't seem like it's guilt or anything. It's just that he truly loves this guy. It's his best friend.
Yeah.
And they're just making different kind of memories together now. But it's really awesome to see because they're so young.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's awesome to hear because when Mike came in the same night as I did, how do you call it? He's in college. He played football for a local college out there in San Francisco-ish area. And so he was at a party and some guys had jumped him and basically beat him up and hit his head against the road, like smashed it. So for real, he got messed up too, like terribly. And that's crazy, hard to even imagine. I'm like, he's in college, freshman maybe, and I'm a little older, but
but I think anything like that, whether it's it's a TBI or any kind of accident. You can even say it with COVID that's going around. You always think it's going to happen to somebody else if it happens.
Right.
It's never. And the younger you are, you've got that mentality of I'm invincible. Nothing's going to happen to me.
Yeah.
It's just like we see young people out here riding around, no helmets on, and it just
drives me crazy.
Yeah, it drives me crazy. It makes me very anxious. I just want to get out of their eyesight, just in case. But just because it takes just
Hey there.
such a minuscule amount of time for something tragic to happen.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I cannot bring your comments over here. So, sorry. Hey, Brandon. Okay. Yeah, so it's definitely something you see somebody riding around, you can't do anything.
Right, but I just want to yell out, please put on the helmet. All it takes is one fall.
Yeah. And actually, I feel like now, I'm like, I was wearing a helmet, So I'm like...
Yeah, but imagine if you had not had one.
Oh, I would have been dead. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been over.
So, and that's an interesting thing because you're like, oh, you were doing crazy stuff. No, I was just riding my bicycle. So I wasn't doing any tricks or anything. I was just riding my bicycle like I'd done a ton of times,
Yeah. Well, it's like the documentary we watched yesterday on Michael Schumacher, the Grand Prix racer.
Yep.
He was skiing, and I wondered about it when he had the accident, and even watching it yesterday, and I did some more. I read into some more about his life on Google, and he was wearing a helmet on the ski slopes.
Oh, really?
And his head hit a rock, and the helmet cracked.
Really?
Yeah, and he sustained very serious brain injury.
Yeah, and they said he was in a medically induced coma for like 9 months.
Yeah, right. I think it was 6 months, but yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And I don't think I know he can't walk. The family's been very private because Michael was a private person, so they kept a lot of things close to the cuff. But I don't think he's able to talk or anything yet as far as communicate with anybody. So, yeah, it's just like it just happens so quickly. You just never know.
Yeah.
And the impact, it impacts you tremendously, but it also impacts people in your life.
Yeah.
Like your parents, your sisters, your friends, they were all, impacted by your accident, just in a
Yeah.
much different way. Because you could, from your perspective, well, life goes on for them.
Yeah, yeah, it is true. And actually, it's, well, funny-ish, like I think now, but my older sister, April, she was going to wait, but she came out because, well, they thought I would die. So April was like going to come out and help, like, what do you call them, know what to do, what the next steps were.
To help your family.
To help my parents, yeah. Like, and so
Hey, Paul, how are you doing?
Oh, gosh. Hey, Paul. Oh, and sorry, I had to minimize your message for a bit. Sorry. Oh, and sorry, off topic, but thank you, Paul, for
Shout out
helping
to
me
Paul.
yesterday. Shout out big time. Because, I mean, dude, just knowing I wasn't alone-ish, but see, you were right there. So thanks for chatting with me a bit yesterday. So, okay, so April, my older sister, came out to. Oh, and you're doing good. Very good. Oh, wait, there we go. Okay, and April came out to help my family with. How do you even call it? Like.
Just medical decisions?
Yeah, well,
informed
maybe it's
medical decisions, perhaps?
Yeah,
or
medical. Oh, and thank you. I'll keep wanting to call you KD, Holly.
And she never lies. She's always truthful.
Well, there we go. Even better. So, it's crazy to even think of. I mean, you have well, at that time, I just turned 36, like 3 days previous. What a present, right? But it's just amazing to think. And your life is done. Wait, what? You know, and for me...
Yeah, but I'm sorry to interrupt, but unless you're dead, your life is not done. It's different, but it's not done.
Well, and that's a nice thing to say, and it's true, but, you know...
For you, it felt done.
For me, yes, it felt done.
Right.
I'm like, when I finally knew what was going on, it took me a little while after I woke up to even remember, like, anything. So...
Was your first emotion then anger? Like the emotions you go through when death and dying? Was it anger?
Anger was, a big one.
Or is it anger first, or is it denial? Did you ever try to deny?
Well, it could have been all that. Could have been, I'll jack you right up.
Yeah. Well, that's right, because you were going back to work.
Yes. Yeah, and that was right. My thing. Even when I was in the hospital, I was like, I got to go back to work. I had just started at a new job-ish. Like, been there, 6 months? But anyways, I was like, for real, I got to get up and go. I got a team. They're all counting on me. We're all working together. I got to go. They're like, you can't walk.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, at that point, I mean, you said you couldn't walk, so obviously you weren't going right away. But at that point, was there any way of the doctors knowing, no, you're not going to work again? And if so, how soon did they tell you that there's no way you can go back to work? And how did they tell you?
Oh, how did they tell me?
Yeah, because that can be devastating news to a young person.
Yeah. So...
Do you remember?
When they told me, I'm trying to remember when it was, like, I don't know. So I'm trying to remember.
And I'm going to interrupt. Hey, Melissa, thanks for joining us. Appreciate that.
Right there. So, yes, I'm sorry bad about, like, looking and seeing over there and oopsie.
So back to, I'm sorry, how soon was it? I mean, initially, obviously, you couldn't go back to work. Yeah. But at what point was there the realization that you will not be going back to work?
Well, and that, I think it was more drawn out process. I do believe it wasn't like, here's it. I mean, they had always kind of said, I don't know if they hinted at it or like, no, you don't need to go back. So, and I was still like, I can do it, I can recover enough and I can go. I mean, I was determined, which is a good thing for my recovery. They said, that part, is pretty
Yeah,
good.
your attitude was there.
Correct.
Yeah,
So,
that means everything.
but that was a thing that was very hard. And thankfully, my sisters, April and Aaron, helped me a lot, with it. Because I'm like, no, I got to go. Because I've been born and raised in Florida. So definitely East Coast. And then I got my job out on West Coast. And I was like, oh, this is it. I'm living here forever. Like, so it was a crazy thing for me to be like, wait, what? Like, even when I moved to Georgia here, I'd only planned to be here like 6 months before I went out to San Francisco.
Yeah, I remember when we met. Your
Yeah.
plan was you were going back out there.
Yeah. So,
Because I knew I was not going to go. I mean, I couldn't go.
yeah.
Because I had mom to consider and my dad. I couldn't pack up and leave at their age
Yeah.
and move across country.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely been, what do you call it, an ongoing um, uh, process, or is it
Acknowledgement.
acknowledgement? Yeah, I think there's that. I mean, I'm yeah, I guess it's crazy.
Well, you still fight it. It's what it is. It's not. I think you know, but you just don't want to believe.
Well, yeah, that's true. It's still the back and forth. I'm like, oh, I can do it. I can do it. But even I forgot what it was the other day that I was doing or trying to do, and I'm like, whoa, I can't do this. Like, yeah, when you went last week traveling, and I'm like, oh, even though I didn't have a ton I had to do, but I was on my own again. I'm like, oh, number one, that sucks. But number two, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
you do a lot.
Yeah, the adult in charge is not the best position all the time.
Yep. I do not recommend being the adult in charge. Always pass it off someone else.
Yeah. If you're able.
If you're able, yep. But I mean, so yeah, I would even ask, what is it? Or what did I put? When you were a child, what did you think your life would look like? Did you have,
oh my gosh, when I was a child?
Or child, teenager?
Yeah, because when I was a child, I was born in the 60s, so back then it was, if you were a girl, likely teacher or a nurse or a secretary. It was, the big thing. So, yeah, I mean, I would probably say I was going on to be a teacher or a nurse or something when I was a little kid. And, I think I leaned more towards teacher as I got into college, mainly because I love the thought of summers off.
Yeah.
And all the school holidays and everything. So, yeah, I had it in my head, I was going to become a teacher, get married, have children, retire from teaching, and, just a normal suburban Southern life.
Yeah.
And no, none of that happened.
Really?
At all. No, I met my husband and got married. We didn't have children, I thought that, I was happy enough. I would have stayed. But then things changed, and I knew I had to get out. And then I was on my own for the very first time in my life at the age of 39.
Because you were married at what time?
I was living with my parents still. I was 23 when I got married. So I went from my parents' house to my husband's house.
Wow.
And then I left him. And that's why I had a friend come over helping me get this. Well, I'd already packed up in what I could and left. And staying with my dad and stepmom temporarily. And I was crying. And, I told her, Janice was my friend. She's since passed away. But I told her, I said, I'm not crying because I'm hurt or I, miss Harry or anything else. I said, I'm crying because I'm scared to death because this will be the first time I have had to support myself independently. Am I not doing something?
Yeah, I think Maybe that's it, not talking to our client. Sorry,
Oh,
technical difficulties.
so and I was self-employed. We had a business together. We were self-employed. So,
Yeah.
I continued with the business. Ended up getting pregnant.
Yeah.
So now I'm single, self-employed, and a mother.
Wow.
So yeah, life was nothing like
Yeah.
I planned. But I would change nothing about it. I mean, I've been cancer. I've had my hip replaced. My mom has passed away. My brother passed away. I've had nothing in comparison, but I mean, different crap that hits your life that affects you. But all of that has made me who I am now, and I like who I am.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty cool.
Yeah. I would say you're pretty cool. And yeah, the whole comparison thing, I'm like, no. Everybody
Yeah, well, you
has
can't
their
compare.
own stuff.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And then look at
Oh
there.
my gosh, look at that. My nephew,
Hey.
Michael. Hey, Michael. Love you, Michael.
Yeah.
This little dog picture. So
Yeah.
cute.
It is cute.
Where's that Michael? I think that's Michael. Put it back up
really?
again. Let me see.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's my nephew. That's Michael. That's a good shot, Michael.
Looks like a little dog.
Well, he's got. Yeah, we love you too, Michael. Can't wait to see you. I hope it's well soon, as soon as it can be.
Soonish.
I know y'all got plans for the holidays.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
but we'll get there. So yeah, I like who I am.
Yeah.
I like where I am. I like who I'm with. I love who I'm with. Sorry. Well, I like you too.
What?
I do like you.
Well, that's a good
But I also
thing.
love you.
Yeah. But no, I'm thankful for that. But yeah, that was one thing that I guess to kind of go over all this. I'm like, yes, for me, I definitely did not think any of this stuff would happen. I mean, geez, I thought, yeah, it'd be what?
I'm sorry, but what were your plans in when you were younger?
Yeah, when I was younger, I think I was going to be back before the teacher and nurse. I'm new. Well, blood, this even the sight, I'm like, oh, cannot do that. So I was like, okay, I'll be a teacher. So, and then, so actually in college, I had a terrible professor who's a teacher, or to teach you to be a teacher, basically. She was awful. And I was like, okay, no. But
So she was clearly in the wrong profession.
well, she was clearly in the wrong profession. So she's teaching people how to be teachers, but she'd only been in the school district for like 2 years and then went up to college.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, she's
Prepared.
not nice person. I cannot say the word probably.
You
But-
can say it.
Yes, but anyway, so I was like, what am I going to do? So music was also a big part, as you can probably tell. But then I'm like, crap, what if nobody likes it? Or what if I fail? Then I'm like, what do I do? So I got scared that I couldn't do that. So, it was kind of one thing after another. And I always joke around. I got started later in life. And finally, at 34, I went to coding boot camp, learned how to code, and I'm like, all right, here we go. So then at the end of 34, I got my first job in San Francisco. I'm like, check this out. So then, right when I turned 36, 4 days later, I had my accident. So I'm like, well, I did all these things. Yeah, I did it. And
It's over.
so, but having said that, like, yes, I would never have imagined my life as a disabled person. I'm like, but having said that, I would not change it. And I was telling Paula as I was writing this morning, I'm like, I would go through all of that again. Like, knowing that she is there, like, I know maybe it sounds silly, but I'm like, knowing what I know now, I go through it again. It was hard as hell, yeah. But you just never know.
What's on the other side?
Correct. And now
Which is why you can't give up, because you don't know what's on the other side.
Correct. And that's why I have my word. Yep, never give up. Sorry, you can't see that. But yep, it's one of my tattoos.
That's a good tattoo because people are quick to give up on anything. And, you mentioned about, moving from one to another. I mean, I did the same thing. I wonder if there's a statistic out there that shows where people started, whether it's technical school or college, that ended up with whatever their goal was initially, excluding med students that
Yeah.
know from the get go, and they might change fields though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Specialties that tends to happen a good bit.
That is
But
true.
I would venture to say, I would think the vast majority kind of just fall into something. Dad had no plans of being a CPA.
Oh, really?
None at all. He was going to Georgia Tech. He
Yeah.
was going to be an engineer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and one of the classes he had to take was PE, and in PE they would get the guys, stand them outside the pool, and make them turn around in a circle to the point that they were dizzy, and then push them in the water,
Wow.
and they had to get out.
Yeah.
Well, Dad's terrified. He does not. He never learned how to swim,
Yeah.
so he's like, "No, I can't. I'm not doing that." So he
Yeah.
went to his guidance counselor or whatever he had at Tech and said, I've got to leave this program because I'm never going to get through PE. I'm not going to do it. What can I do that's just as challenging as the career I had planned in engineering? And someone suggested accounting to him.
Really?
And that's how he ended up in accounting.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, you never know what might change your mind or what the circumstances might be that you end up doing what it is you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. Yeah. Even mine, I'm like, I thought you had to be good at math to be a software engineer because I was like, oh no, I'm terrible. Well, so I thought. But I'm like, I loved working on electronics, and I'm like, I was awesome. That fixed everybody's computers, iPhones, everything. And I got a job at Apple, and then I was like, I want to do more. Then, yeah, graduated into making programs.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah, you just don't know what's going to happen. What else you got here?
Yep. Oh, well, I don't know. I was still saying oopsie.
Oh.
So basically, I mean, we covered everything. I was just, I mean, you just never know when life will change, can change like that. Like, you just.
Well, and sometimes it doesn't change. It just doesn't end up being what you had expected it to be. There was no change. I mean, your plans might all come to fruition, and you get there and think, "Oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be."
Yeah.
Nothing at all, and you change.
Yeah.
In bold, or change your direction, or find something else. Some give up, unfortunately, but yeah. So you don't know what's going to be. But that's what makes life interesting.
Yeah, it truly does. I'm like, you just never know where you start out and you have all these plans. I mean,
yeah, I mean, this time a year ago, did we have any idea we would be moving?
no.
Right?
Because, yeah, it's October. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing whatsoever.
Because, yeah, we didn't even start looking. And,
Thanksgiving.
well, yeah, Thanksgiving was or the day after is the day we looked at this,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it was a bit different.
So, yeah, the best laid plans don't always come through, and the unexpected can have some of the best results for you.
Yep, that is true.
Yeah. So, yeah, take everything and learn from it and use it to your advantage.
Yep. Well, yeah, and I think that is the, what do you call it, the big thing or takeaway or thing I want to share. But is basically take what you have and use it for real. Like,
yeah, because you can turn bad situations can be turned around in some sort of way. I mean, you might have an accident, you're paralyzed, and yeah, you might not ever walk again, but you might find because of that limitation, you have to then discover something new about yourself that you never knew was a possibility or a talent or a skill or you don't know what you're capable of until sometimes you're forced
Yeah.
to find out.
Yeah. And that is true. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I had no idea I'd turn on a camera and do this.
Oh, yeah, me either. There's
like,
no way I would have ever thought I would sit here and feel comfortable enough just to talk.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy, but it is awesome, and it can be awesome.
It can be. It can be.
Find your thing. I'd say, like, hey, you got time. Just do it. But then it might be over. No, so basically, yeah, just use what you have. Try new things. Throw out new things. Like, just
yeah,
try.
And because things can change so quickly, never give up an opportunity to let people know how you feel about them, what you think about them. Thank them for being in your life.
Yes.
Because you don't know what the next second's going to bring.
Yeah, and that's, one thing I've kind of started. Well, I started beginning of this year, and then I kind of got off. Oopsie. But writing a note every day, not to the same person, but just different people, like those, that you come across, and you're like, thank you for, this thing. And so that is, I've heard people called an art that has been kind of thrown aside. Nobody writes notes anymore, and whatever. But I, especially after my accident, I'm like, oh, I want to let people know what they mean to me, like how they make me feel. I will tell them.
Yeah. And that goes along with the same vein of don't do something because either you think it's difficult or you're scared. Just try. I mean, if you fail, try again. I mean, it's just people give up so easily on anything, or stay away from a situation because they're uncertain about it, or it makes them uncomfortable. But you're denying yourself an opportunity to really grow and potentially help someone else grow and share just some honest feelings. And it's like when we did the volunteering at the assisted living facility. I felt a little. I mean, I had gotten to know some of the residents there, but sometimes it was difficult to talk to them.
Yeah.
There were days sometimes I just didn't feel like going.
Yeah.
But, I would just push ahead and go, and it was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life.
Yeah.
To be able to do that. So if you have an opportunity to help somebody, I think I did tell you this, and this is just another example of really getting out of your comfort zone and doing things. Lucy and I were at Walmart a couple weeks ago, and I had to go to the restroom, and there was a woman in the handicap stall with one of Walmart's big motorized wheelchair cart things.
Yeah.
And I thought she was having a hard time maneuvering the cart out, so I just said, do you need some help? And she said, yes. She said, I can't get my pants up.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking, I wish I had just gone to the bathroom and leave, but I knew I couldn't. She was struggling. There was something going on. So I walked over to her and helped her get her pants up. And, I mean, it was huge for her because, she was stuck. Until someone could help her, she was not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then we stood there and talked for the longest time. She was telling me about her son. I talked about Lucy some, and then I get a text from Lucy because I've been in there for a while now. And then the next thing I know, here comes Lucy through the door, and the woman looks up and she said, "Oh, that must be your daughter, Lucy."
Yeah.
So Lucy's thinking this is some long lost friend of mine that I've reconnected with in the John, but it was just a lady that needed help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not something. It wasn't unpleasant, but it was. She needed help, so I gave her help. That was it.
Yeah, and you see that is good. Like, I believe very much. I'm like, yes, That's how it needs to be. Well, people should ish. I'm like, you do you, but I would say be kind.
Right. And see, this woman was struggling, but she didn't give up on life. She had things she had to do, and it was difficult for her to get out and about, but, she kept going.
Yeah, yeah.
And then gets in a really intimate situation where she needs help. I'm sure that was not easy for her to ask.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That's true. Yeah.
Do what you can.
That is true.
Keep living.
Yeah. So, all that, I'll just wrap it up and say, don't forget, be kind to all you come across, but see if you can help, and just help make the world a better place. Well, I know that's a lot, but.
And if you're feeling down and you think, gosh, I'm not where I thought I was going to be, or something has happened that's taken me from where I wanted to be, there's always something to be thankful for. Find it.
Yeah.
If you're not doing what you want to do, try something new. Find out what it is.
Yep.
Just do it.
Yeah. And that is
Life
true.
is too short to be miserable.
That is very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Man. So we'll just wind it up here and say thank you so much. It's good. And remember, just go with it. And also, you matter. Your story matters. And you belong here. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Have a great afternoon.